Happy Friday, everybody. X-Man 1991 back again with another video. This is a big anniversary rant today because we got one classic hip-hop album turning 30 and three turning 25. Turning 25 and one turning 30. Let's go, man. Let's get right into it. November 12th, 1991. Tupac released his debut album, Tupacalypse Now, by the now defunct Jive Records and Interscope, Jimmy Iovine's Interscope Records. That's a damn shame that Jive Records doesn't exist anymore. It was launched 40 years ago, and 30 years later, in 2011, 10 years ago, it was shut down. It was launched 40 years ago, and then it was shut down 30 years later. Wow. Yeah, I'm right. 30 years later, it got shut down. I thought it was 20 years, 30 years. But it's been 10 years since Jive Records shut down. Tupacalypse Now is on Tupac's commentary on social issues facing American society, such as teen pregnancy, black-on-black crime, poverty, police brutality, and racism. Nothing but storytelling on this album. Tupacalypse Now debuted at number 64 on the Billboard 200 and number 13 on the top R&B/hip hop albums chart, and was certified gold on April 19th, 1995. 5 years ago, the day before the 25th anniversary, it was released on vinyl and cassette. The three singles from the album include Trapped, If My Homies Call, and my all-time favorite, Brenda's Got a Baby. All songs were written and performed by Tupac himself. Stretch is featured on the song Crooked Ass Nigga. He's the only guest appearance on here. And he's on track number 11, The Lunatic. My favorite tracks on the Tupacalypse Now album is Brenda's Got a Baby, Trapped, If My Homies Call. There's this one song called IDGAF, stands for I Don't Give a Fuck. And Crooked Ass Nigga is also my favorite track on the album. It's a classic looking back 30 years later. One of the best albums of the year 1991. Tupac was only 20 years old when he released this album. If he was still here, he would have been 50. His first album, after making his debut in the hip-hop group Digital Underground, it received positive reviews. It sold 5,000 copies in its first week. Yeah, it sold 5,000 copies. And as of September 2011, the album sold 923,455 copies in the U.S. I would like to congratulate Tupac for 30 years of his first album that he released when he was only 20. We wish you were here to celebrate 30 years of your first album, Tupac. 30 years of Tupacalypse Now. Now we got 3 hip-hop albums that turned 25 that came out in 1996, same day. November 12th, 1996. Snoop released his second album, Tha Doggfather, under Death Row Records and Jimmy Iovine's Interscope Records. After the success of Doggy Style, Snoop was charged with murder, and in 1995 he spent time in jail preparing for the case that went to trial. And in February of 96, he was clear of all those charges and began working on his album, without Dr. Dre providing work as a record producer. Just like Doggy Style, Tha Doggfather debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200 and number 1 on the top R&B/hip hop albums chart and was certified double platinum. But it failed to match the same commercial success of Doggy Style. This was Snoop's last album under Death Row Records and his last album under the stage name Snoop Doggy Dogg. Instead of Dr. Dre as the executive producer, they had Suge Knight as the executive producer. The 3 singles from the album were Doggfather, Vapors, which is a remake of the late Biz Markie song, and Snoop's Upside Your Head. Guest appearances from Uncle Charlie Wilson, the late Tina Marie, Corrupt of the Dog Pound, the LBC Crew, Too Short, Superfly, Warren G, Nate Dogg, not just Corrupt of the Dog Pound, his cousin Daz as well. Trady, and the outro was by Tupac, aka Machiavelli. This was released 1 week after the Don Illuminati The 7 Day Theory. Anyway, this album is a classic looking back 25 years later. It's a good album, but not as good as Doggy Style. Yeah, but Snoop's Tha Doggfather is definitely a good album. Snoop was 25 years old when he released this album. Today, he's 50 years old. Yep. Too bad Tupac was not on this album because, I don't know, maybe because Tupac was promoting his album All Eyes on Me, then began working on his Don Illuminati The 7 Day Theory album. I just wish Tupac was on this album. Well, as a matter of fact, he is. He did the outro as his stage name Machiavelli. But still, I wish Tupac would have been on a song on this album, even though he's on the outro. And the album sold 2 million copies. This was Snoop's second album stalled at sales of 2 million copies. But in the first week, it sold 479,000 copies. So, thank you, Snoop, for 25 years of this classic album. Even though Doggy Style is much better. And I love Snoop's version of Vapors, but Biz Markie's version of Vapors will always be better. R.I.P. Biz Markie. Next album that's turning 25. Same day, November 12, 1996. Eminem released his debut album, Infinite, through Web Entertainment Records. The album only sold like 1,000 copies, and it was a commercial failure. They are highly valued Since the album was made before Eminem was signed to Jimmy Iovine's Interscope Records and Dr. Dre's Aftermath Entertainment. On November 17, 2016, 5 days after the 20th anniversary of the album, Eminem posted a remix of the title track that was remastered, made by the Bass Brothers, to his Vevo channel, YouTube, releasing it digitally for the first time. It is not officially available on any online music stores, and the only track, Infinite, has been made available on Spotify. It's sad that this is Eminem's lowest selling album, and it's sad it was a commercial failure. But I listened to the whole album on YouTube today during my workout, and Eminem was a fucking beast on that album. He was so young and hungry back in the mid-90s. I didn't know he released an album back in 1996. I thought the Slim Shady LP was his first album. But this album was Eminem's first album. I really wish he would have released it before Tupac died. I would love to see Eminem and Tupac collaborate with each other. Oh my goodness, 25 years since Eminem released Infinite. Eminem was a beast on this fucking album. The producers on the album was Eminem himself and Mr. Porter, aka Con Artist. So I don't give a damn if this album was a commercial failure. I don't care how many copies that it sold. It's still a classic looking back 25 years later. It don't matter if this album was a commercial failure. It's still a classic. Eminem killed this shit. I'm not gonna lie to you. He killed this whole album. Thank you, Eminem, for 25 years of this classic album. Don't matter if it was a commercial failure. You still killed this album. AllMusic gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars without a review. What? Get the fuck out of here. Oh my goodness. Yeah, AllMusic gave it a 2.5 out of 5 stars, and Rap Reviews gave it a 5.5 out of 10. Whatever. It's still a classic. It's one of the best albums in 1996, and Eminem killed that shit. I don't care what they say. Jeez. Anyway, last album that came out on this day in 1996. Lil Kim released her debut album Hardcore under Undies Records, Big Beat Records, and Atlanta Records. After the success of Junior Mafia's debut album Conspiracy, Lil Kim began working on his album with the late great Notorious B.I.G. as the executive producer. Besides this, he performed on 4 songs. I Know Crush on You was one of them. The album debuted at number 11. Yeah, number 11 on the Billboard 200 and number 3 on the top R&B/hip hop albums chart, selling 78,000 copies in its first week, while reaching number 26 on the Canadian albums chart, and was certified double platinum. Good, it definitely deserved to go platinum. The 3 singles from the album include Crush on You, No Time, and Not Tonight, the Ladies Night remix. Even though the Ladies Night remix of Not Tonight is not on this album. It's the original with Jermaine Dupri. Speaking of Jermaine Dupri, he's one of the guest appearances on here, as well as Biggie, Lil C's, Jay-Z, and Puff Daddy. So looking back 25 years later, Lil Kim's Hardcore is a fucking classic too. She did sexually explicit lyrics better than any today's female rappers like Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Lil Kim was hardcore back then. And this was way before she fucked up her face with that plastic surgery. Lil Kim was natural back then. She used to look good back then, but now she looked funny as hell. And I don't mean ha-ha funny either. If it wasn't for rappers like Lil Kim, Missy, Trina, Da Brat, Lisa Left Eye Lopez, etc., none of the female rappers that's out today wouldn't be here. And that's a fucking fact. My dad bought this album when I was 5 years old in kindergarten. And he still has the album at his house 25 years later. Unbelievable. Thank you, Lil Kim, for 25 years of this classic album. If it wasn't for you and all the other female legendary rappers, none of the female rappers of today wouldn't be here. Next week, we got 3 classic hip-hop albums turning 25. The infamous Mobb Deep, Hell on Earth, Shaq, You Can't Stop the Rain, and Foxy Brown, Il Nana. Let's see something. Anyway, that's going to wrap up my thoughts. That's going to wrap up my rant celebrating 30 years of Tupac's Tupacalypse Now and 25 years of Snoop's Tha Doggfather, Eminem, Infinite, and Lil Kim Hardcore. If you're new here, hit subscribe if you like the content and hit that notification bell for my next anniversary rant. Thumbs up if you liked the video. Thumbs down if you didn't. Leave your comment down below. I'll be back later tonight, reminiscing 20 years of a confrontation between my 2 favorites, The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin, from the November 12th, 2001 edition of Monday Night Raw. Don't follow your dreams, chase them. Peace. Happy 30th anniversary to Tupac's Tupacalypse Now, and happy 25th to Snoop's Tha Doggfather, Eminem's Infinite, and Lil Kim's Hardcore.